Hi everybody, welcome to episode 16 of A Fern Between Us.
We are two of the four owners of Vivoc Winery. I'm Jesse.
I'm Michelle, and we have special guest, Director of Learning and Education from Taos Academy, Miss Elizabeth LeBlanc, with us today. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So we are going to be talking to Elizabeth about some of the questions that we all have about sending our kids back to school.
That's not getting in the way, is it? It might be. There we go. It was just a notification, but I don't know.
Filming on the phone, filming from home, it's awesome. So let me tell you a little bit about Elizabeth. She is a total badass. So she has her MA in Educational Technology and Curriculum Design. Wow.
She's blushing.
She was named to the New Mexico Secretary of Education's Teacher Advisory. She is a state ambassador for the New Mexico Teacher Leader Network. She was awarded the NMSTE Make It Happen Award for 2019. She has co-authored several educational research projects, book chapters, and articles on brain science, whole child instruction, and blended learning. I mean, like, what?
That's crazy.
And she's also co-founder of the Institute for Teaching and Leading. So,
it doesn't look like you're like 95. How have you achieved all that, Elizabeth?
Right. I mean, I don't sleep a lot, clearly, but no, I'm lucky enough that I found what I really love to do, and this kind of intersection of like, how do you do that human piece and keep it really centered in a school, and also use technology to give it some flexibility and resilience is like right in my sweet spot. So it's exciting to be here to talk to you guys about that.
Well,
thanks for the compliment.
We're lucky to have you in our child's life and in my brother's kid's life as well. They both go to school at your place, and
exactly. So Taos Academy, fabulous school up in Taos. It is a charter school, and it is a hybrid school. So a lot of the education is actually online, with then segments being in person with these phenomenally educated people like Elizabeth. And so we've just been so happy having our daughter there, and it's been an incredible experience. And so we have Elizabeth on today to talk about some of the questions that you guys have been having as you look at whatever is happening for your child's school, and more universally, these concerns. So we're going to jump into some of the questions. The first one is the Taos Academy is planning to return to on-site 2 days a week. Why not for our high schooler, 2 days a week for the Maddox, my nephew,
middle schooler,
thank you. Like, what's those big words? So why not be 100% online? There are a lot of parents wondering why, since we had a little bit of that in the spring, why schools aren't just going to start with that.
Right. And it's a great question. I mean, as a parent, because I also have students that, my own children are students in different schools here in Taos. So as a parent, you really are trying to get all the information possible and think through all the possibilities, because we're all trying to balance things like running a business or, keeping your family life afloat. And then also, what capacity do you have to support your student, either on those off days or fully, right? So right now, Taos Academy's plan is, we were directed by the state to come up with a hybrid learning model that follows some pretty specific guidelines. And so it's things like having small groups, like 10 or fewer students in a classroom, being able to be socially distant while you're in the learning space, everyone wearing masks except for when eating, drinking, or exercising, sanitizing stations. So the first thing a student does when they come in is sanitize, check out their computer, and it's always the same computer, go to their spot, it's always the same spot. And then anytime they leave that spot, they're responsible for wiping it down and making sure it's either ready for the next person. But in general, the students are kind of sheltered in that place in the school. So they kind of have a home base, they get used to being there. And one of our goals is to kind of build some capacity of students to be able to do those, wearing masks, being socially distant, kind of those things that we're all being asked to do when we're out in public and interacting with each other to just keep each other healthy and safe. So part of the reason for the 2-day-a-week model that we are planning on right now is it's one that we feel like we can do safely and effectively. A lot of time and planning has gone into it so far, and we still have weeks to go before we would be starting. The other is the simple answer would be that's what the state told us to do, right? But the state has also told us be ready for everything in between. So we also have our remote learning plan from the spring that worked really well for most of our families. There were some families that it was a struggle for, and what we realized too is even people who came on and were really strong at the beginning, there are a lot of other tensions that happen in our community around jobs, finances due to COVID-19. And families were really struggling by the end. Mm-hmm. We didn't know if that same ask, if our families would have the same capacity to ramp back up to like fully instructing their students at home, even with our remote support, even with a model that we think is really effective when you have to be doing remote learning. It didn't seem like that would work for all Taos Academy families. And in fact, I've heard from some who are like, oh, thank heavens that there will be some on-campus time. I've also heard from families that have concerns with things like health reasons, or students are in contact with their elderly grandparents or spend a lot of time at their houses. And so we are doing kind of individual studies with those families of like, what would work for you? You know, does it need to be a virtual model for like the first 6 weeks or 9 weeks? And then we evaluate based on what's going on in our county. So we're both planning for the hybrid, but also trying to be sensitive to what other families might need. We have other families on the spectrum who are like, can my child please come 5 days a week? We trust this model and what you're putting in place. But we need more support than just the 2 days. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot to juggle, but that's where we are right now. We've also been really clear that it will change based on what the prevailing health guidance is. Yeah. And it's really on us. So this is my soapbox, and then I'll move on to the next question. Sorry. But it's really on the grown-ups right now. Yeah. We can make this safe, and it can be available for students in the fall, but it depends a lot on what we're doing in the next 3 weeks. Yeah. So if we are maintaining our social distancing, if we're continuing with the mask, if we're being vigilant about, hands and just all of those things, there's a good chance that we can start to welcome the families that are most in need back on our campus and accommodate others in a different way. If we choose not to do that, then we are kind of willfully cutting off education for some of our students. Not all of our families have home access. We're working on it. We're trying very hard to get 100% of Taos Academy families online, but that's not all families in Taos County. Mm-hmm. We know that we leave a lot of kids behind when, just as a community, we make that move to remote learning. So I think those are kind of the big concerns and kind of my overriding, qualifier. This is what we're planning now, and the next 3 weeks are going to be really telling as far as what we're able to do.
As a very quick add-on, I'm just curious, since your kids go to a different type of school, how did you feel that moving on to online went for you and your kids?
Yeah, I was amazed. Our students and families and our teachers especially, and our teachers, I need to give credit. We found out, we had a meeting before spring break, like right before everybody left, that was, hey, we're hearing word that schools may be closed. Go off and have a great spring break. And within 30 minutes of our having that meeting, we heard that our school was closing. Wow. So spring break was spent, with some of the leadership team in figuring out, well, how do we do this? But from a teacher point of view, they came, like we had a Zoom meeting or a Google Meets meeting on Monday morning, and they were expected to get this up and running by Tuesday morning and to start instruction totally virtually, and they crushed it. They did everything we asked of them and more, and so did our students. I mean, we had 2 students who graduated early during the COVID-19 crisis, which I just think speaks volumes to the commitment that they had. Our families, trying to homeschool my own children, like I know what the ask was. It's not easy to be stressed out as a parent or to be worried about the state of affairs, and then to also continually motivate and work with your student and try to sit down and figure out fractions while it seems like everything else is maybe falling apart. But
Right.
really and truly, I am very proud of the work that we did. I know our model lends itself to that maybe more easily than others because we are already blended. But in general, our numbers, if you're looking at students that graduated on time or our pass rate for classes, it doesn't look like you would know it was a different year.
I almost felt bad for Taos Academy kids because everyone else in the state, they heard they weren't going back to school and then almost didn't have to in some ways, Whereas Taos Academy was like, all right, we're all set up. We can just keep on going. You know what to do, and
we really did. I mean, yeah. And actually, we offered a free summer school for 5 weeks after school ended, and I was amazed. Like kids, we had like 60 plus students. So this is when you don't have to come to school, right? But 50 plus students decided voluntarily to come to virtual school for an additional 5 weeks after that. And so they accrued credits for most of them. That's helping them enter the fall ahead of the game rather than behind.
Unbelievable.
So anyway, I was very impressed with them. But yeah, we're one of those schools that we're kind of like, okay, yes, everything is going crazy, and also this is something that you can control. So let's focus on that. Let's support each other. Let's keep learning going. And that was our message to kids really early.
That's cool.
So our next question is...
I'm glad you think it's cool.
I do think it's cool.
Our next question is how can parents support teachers as you guys are all under this great load of stress trying to prepare to invite the kids back? How can we as parents help support that process, get the kids ready? Is there any advice that you have for us?
Oh, wow. That's, first of all, it's a great question because I think we are continually thinking about how we can support you as parents because we know this is a shared load right now in ways that are kind of unprecedented. So I think the first thing is just talk to us and communicate with us and stay engaged. And sometimes that's hard and takes energy. But nothing stresses a teacher out more than I can't get in touch with a family. I can't get in touch with a kid. I don't know if they're okay. So really and truly, just you have no idea how big a load that in and of itself is. Like 90% of the teacher stress, I think, was that sense of like, oh no, I want everyone to do this together. And if somebody's kind of falling off or not engaging, I worry so much about them. So that is just one quick way that I would say parents can certainly help teachers. I think more though, kind of when we're looking at it, like helping our kids get ready for this helps teachers tremendously. And so one thing that we're trying to do and think about is how do we ease both teachers, and so it's kind of unreasonable to go from 0 to 60. We've all been sheltering in place in our community, I think has been doing this so well, even as things have opened up a little bit. Like by and large, when I am out and about in Taos, the people who live here are really taking this seriously. And I think that shows up in our numbers. We have a very low percentage of positive cases. Like it's less than 1% of the tests that have been done have come back positive. And of those, over half have recovered. So, we have like 20 people who are like actively have COVID-19 right now, anywhere in a county that's like, 30,000 people. So we've done a really good job. We do need to continue doing that job. So continuing to talk to students about this, letting them know that this is, it's not a fear-based situation, but it's care for each other. And that's what we're trying to really create in the school as part of our norm, right? If we've done our job, this should not be a really new or unique sort of component to Taos Academy because we really try to make that part of our culture anyway. We are responsible for each other. We do want to, celebrate each other's success. We do support each other. One of the ways that we do that right now has to include things like hand washing, social distancing, masking. And yes, there are times that it will be a pain, and just kind of acknowledging that we'll be building this capacity to engage and be together and to wear masks and all of that together. There will be times that you're like, you know what? I need to step outside for 5 minutes because the mask thing is driving me crazy right now. Great.
Yeah.
Right.
Go do that. We get it, you know. So trying to be real about it, I think, with students and as parents, anything that you can do to help them understand the why, be accepting, but not be fearful, I think is going to be huge for us.
Cool.
Absolutely. And so then our third question is about how kids that are at home and some are struggling with that social distancing and missing their friends. And if we start in the fall and we do have to have a full online curriculum, there are a lot of parents that are really concerned with the mental health of their kids as they struggle with being isolated. And do you have any tips or ideas, not only as a parent yourself, but as an educator, how kids can kind of connect and feel that they're still a part of a community and their friends?
Totally. And this kind of came about, it was interesting because, of course, you know, I had my educator hat on, and so we were thinking like, okay, we have Google Meets for classes, and, you know, we have this content, and, you know, we were thinking of it kind of from an academic school standpoint. And then we realized, like, kids were staying on after our classes and chatting with each other. We're using the chat feature during classes to catch up with each other. And so we did start opening up some spaces where students could meet, and they weren't like classes. They were like, we had students who wanted to, you know, we had said, you know, let's just meet in the morning. You have 2 meetings on your regular days for remote learning, and that seems like enough. We don't want to overwhelm families or kids. And then we had students who were like, well, can we meet for like an enrichment class? Can we read a book together? Are we having chess club? Chess club's still happening, right? Like, they were asking for so much more interaction than we had imagined they might be up for. You know, so things like, you know, Jimmy Stadler's band class continued. It was online, but still. We had our
That's
show classes
amazing.
that kept going. And so we realized that's something we really need to build into what we're looking at. So I'd say now there's kind of informal ways that parents can help their kids connect and have like Zoom meetings or, you know, Google Meets or FaceTime or whatever it is that works to keep some friend connections, because it is huge. I mean, my own children are incredibly tired of each other and me. So it's real, you know, keeping those social connections is important. But then as schools, we can build that in kind of no matter what model we're in.
Right.
And it turned out from the spring that students were hungry for that in ways that we just hadn't even imagined.
Even our daughter, who would prefer usually to just study from home, is eager to go to class. So it shows you that she's had enough of us.
She has had enough of us.
That is high praise.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And anybody that is submitting any questions as we chat away here, of course, because we film on my phone, I can't see those. So we will answer your questions after the show in a post-airing. And anything that you have for Elizabeth, I will pass on to her via email, and we'll get back to you on those kind of answers too. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you in person and for a virtual hug like that.
A distance hug.
I can't wait. It is so great to connect with you guys, and thank y'all for giving me a chance to come and just talk a little bit about what we're thinking, what we're doing, and just how we're getting excited to prepare for reconnecting with our students, because truly that's one thing people don't know about teachers. When we look really surprised and excited to see you on the first day of school, whether it's on the cloud, like in the cloud or in the classroom, like we're not faking that. We really miss you guys. So thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Cheers.
All right, so we will remove the computer. Oh. Move.
And so how are you guys doing today? This is awesome. I was going to say, when you asked about like the kids, how do you keep them from going crazy? I'm like, they're teenagers. They already are crazy. Don't you think? I mean, maybe those of you that don't have a teenager might not know that, but they're crazy.
Well, we are going to move on to our next portion, the drinking portion of our show.
Yay.
And today we are doing the Reidel challenge. So if you haven't heard of Reidel glasses, are you alive? Are you breathing? Reidel has become the it glass all over the world.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have heard the name. They have no idea why you need to invest in glassware like this. And so we're going to demonstrate today. So if you have a second, grab a bunch of different glasses if you haven't done this already in preparation for the show.
You can kind of see the assortment of glasses that we've got here.
So we've got, you know, a rocks glass, we've got a juice glass, we've got a bubbly glass, we've got a bigger version of the Reidel and our standard Reidel, and then we've got a little
aperitif glass.
Yeah, so the idea is that the wine, and you can actually do this with anything, tastes very different in different glasses. So we're going to demonstrate that. We were supposed to have the Chardonnay to talk about today.
I got lazy. I didn't want to go drive across town, pick up a bottle of Chardonnay out of the shed.
Across town, Dixon, it's huge, you know, it was going to be a
take
really
me
big thing.
8 minutes each way. It's going to be horrible.
So we are actually drinking the Aglianico, one of our favorite wines, and it really doesn't matter what you're trying this out with, it's just, it rocks your world. So we actually, starting with our signature glass, which is also the signature wine tasting glass that most of the California wineries use in their tasting rooms.
They kind of call it the California tasting room glass. It's the most reasonable for us. We sell them at our tasting room. It's what we taste out of at the tasting room.
And we did a lot of research. Which shape is best for the, you know, overarching of all of the wines that we produce?
Any one wine will taste better out of a certain kind of glass. We chose one that showcases most wine styles successfully, exactly.
So what we're gonna do, so of course you start by swirling your glass, and that's to release the aromas in bouquet so that you can stick your nose in there and get all of those amazing things that Jesse and Chris have worked so hard to get into the wine. Lovely, lovely. Wonderful aromatics. I think that it has such pretty florals. So then Jesse and I are going to be sharing these glasses.
Non-COVID safe practices, but we assume if she's got it, I got it, and vice versa.
So this is a Reidel glass as well, but it's a bigger bowl. And so that is actually going to change the whole aspect as well. So for me, I get a lot more earthy aspects. I'm missing some of those florals. Really smooth on the palate. So I'm going to let Jesse do a comparison. And one of the things that you're going to be noticing as you taste in these different glasses is how the aromas change.
It's quite different.
How it actually puts the wine in your mouth in a different way. The opening of the glass, whether or not it has a rim, you know, a lot of glasses that you're probably looking in your cabinet and finding. Oh.
I have a hole in my lip. You probably couldn't see that on the camera, but that's lovely.
Talent.
It's really good. The best one is like when you go in and you're a winemaker and you're pretending like you know a lot and you're like, I'm gonna see, and then you end up like inhaling it and you get it down your lungs and you can't stop coughing for 5 minutes in front of somebody that you've just met and you're pretending that you really know what you did. It's ridiculous how often that happens too. It happens to me all the time. I think it happened on one of the first episodes of the show. Actually, I did a little inhale, but it's just gonna happen. I don't know why. If I'm concentrating on it, it happens more.
Well, and you know, we're certified sommeliers as well, and then I always spill it all over the table, and I'm like, oh, well, there you go.
Can't pour and even pour, or
invite the professionals to mess it all up. Anyway, so I was talking about the rim of the glass, and if it's a rolled lip, and you're going to see this, and if you don't have it at home right now, you'll definitely recognize it when you go to.
You can.
Yeah,
there we go. You can actually see it. All right, so this one, the Reidel glass, has a cut edge.
Yeah.
This one has a rolled edge, and you can see the
Yeah.
Man, everything's backwards. So you can see the right there. You can see the bigger lip. When the Reidel was produced, it had a lip like that, and they cut it. This is called a cut edge, and this is a rolled edge. Most glasses that you have, most water glasses, juice glasses, they're all going to have this rolled edge. Really,
and a lot of wine glasses.
And a lot of the cheaper wine glasses. I'm gonna tattle on the New Mexico Wine Growers Association for all of our festivals.
Mr.
We have.
President.
I know. And I've been on the board for 12 years, and I've never brought it to the attention of everybody. But
I have. I sit on the marketing committee, and I whine about this all the time.
Financially, it seems it's a little bit more of an impossibility. But this cutting process costs a lot of money for the glass companies to do. So in situations where it doesn't matter, they leave the rolled edge. It's nice. It's soft. It kind of even looks pretty, but it really does affect the quality of for wine.
It's like a speed bump going into your palate.
You'll notice a big difference if you're doing this at home or when you do this at home.
Yeah.
I promise.
Save this episode and come back to it, right? So then we have our bubbly glass. I'm going to do that one next. Really, you're not supposed to swirl your bubbly wine, by the way. So that kills the bubbles that are in it that the winemakers worked so hard to get there. So that's part of why you're not supposed to be able to swirl, but I'm swirling anyway.
Yeah, it's champagne glasses or sparkling wine glasses aren't made to swirl, so they're kind of hard to swirl. And that's a good thing, I guess. It keeps you from doing it unless you're in the habit of doing it like us, and you'll catch me swirling bubbly all the time. Damn it, why was I doing that?
Or your water. I like to swirl my water.
Right.
Anyway, so this still
has a cut edge.
It does. This is a Reidel sparkling glass, but totally different shape, and really all I can smell is the oak aging.
That's interesting. So a small glass had kind of had the bouquet that it had. This one had.
I felt like more earthy. Did you get that?
More earthy and bigger fruit, bigger fruit, but less wood. And I thought it was less intense. I thought it was more intense in there.
This was very smooth.
Yeah,
really.
This one was more opened
welcoming.
up. Welcoming.
Do you get that? I get all of.
I can't
the
smell
oak
almost any.
and
it's
that's
so much reduced.
Yeah, no fruit aspects. The acidity, I feel like, is heavy on the palate.
Yeah,
with that one.
Yeah, it's real heavy on the palate.
It
almost makes it unpleasant.
It is. It is very unpleasant.
It doesn't have like the grandiosity of the. I would have thought it would.
It's such a big, bold wine, and it's awesome, and then it's scheisse.
Yeah,
And that one.
it turns down to kind of pokier flavors.
Yeah. So for sure can't swirl this, even though you can see I'm trying. Juice glass.
Juice glass that we got from our cousin's brewery in Texas, B52, by the way.
Whoop, whoop. And I can't smell anything. So one of the things that you also want to be paying attention to is that there's the tapered top, and that actually brings it in. It brings it in so that as the bowl, you swirl it, you release those aromas and bouquet, you can actually get focus and smell into the glass.
I did it.
Good job. Demonstration.
I inhaled just a little bit because the way it's tapered, it shot into my mouth quickly.
That's terrible.
That's terrible. That's downright terrible. You can't smell anything, and then it's just in your mouth, and it like float in there all fast, all weird. I don't know. Wow,
that is really particularly amazing. That this is one of our favorite wines too.
That was wild. I got to do this again. We've never had wine out of this.
Also, this one again, there's no aroma whatsoever. There's nothing happening here.
This makes it taste like wet dog.
Oh.
I swear, wet dog. That's
How do you
wild.
know what wet dog tastes like?
Well, it tastes like wet dog smells, I guess.
Getting somewhere.
No. I used to do the family chores and bathe the dog sometimes. That's all. You probably
Did you
never
lick
did.
the family dog?
No, I said it tastes like wet dog smells.
That's not actually what you said. But that
But the
is
second
a-
time I did, you guys heard me.
Nope. All right, try that one.
All right, rocks
Better
glass.
than this one, but still not good.
I drink a gin or a scotch out of this with some, often, several times a week. Love this glass.
Man,
I can barely smell. I can smell a little bit.
Right?
It's way better than that.
This-
It might even be better than that.
I think it's better than that too.
Yeah,
but
so it
it's-
might be better than the champagne flute. For some reason, there's there's some amount of something there. Versus these two are by far and away the best. And you could debate. Maybe some people like it here, some people like it here. I don't even know which one I like better. Honestly.
I would agree, and I would
On
actually
this wine.
even say that a glass, either one of these, this shape with a rolled lip, where it's still going to give you a speed bump and be an issue, would still be better than these three.
I would bet you're right. I would bet you're right.
So that's interesting.
And this one probably.
These three.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about this one that wasn't here.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's like also this.
It's pretty amazing.
So these four
Nope.
maybe.
So this one has more of the shape that, we're talking about tapering in, but a rolled lip, clearly tiny.
Also, your fingers are currently heating up the wine, which is probably not good.
Yeah, these stemless.
You did it too. See? Drinking wine out of things that we're not used to, and we can't even. We have holes in our lips out of the ones we do know, and then.
Clearly, this is a dangerous episode.
Hope you at home are doing better than we are.
But this whole idea of the stemless glass has become really, really popular, and they are pretty. And Reidel even has a whole line of them. But again, yeah, if you're holding it like this, you're changing the temperature. Of
It's also why you
wine.
don't want to hold your wine like this. I know it
That was
seems.
one of your tips when.
Oh, was it?
One episode.
Oh yeah, it was early on. I know this seems like an elegant way. It's like as if you're a
Old movie actress or
yeah, or you're smoking out of your cigarette holder or something. It's one of those kind of like
Yeah.
I'm classy, but
Old movie.
old movie exactly. But this, all you're doing is heating up your wine. Your wine's already too hot if you're here. Maybe if you're in the Arctic, it'd be great because your wine's probably too cold and you need to heat it up. But for most of us, especially hitting 100 degrees here every day.
All right, try this
Okay.
one. So the taste was just okay. The aroma, not really much happening, but it's just,
Yeah.
especially if you're
I
going
don't
to
know.
pay a decent amount for the wine that you're purchasing, then you want to actually put it in a glass that's going to be worthwhile. If you're just going to buy like $2 chuck, then, have at it. Put it in your juice glass.
To look at all these, this is interesting. This is like we got this out of my grandma's house when she passed away, and she had some interesting glassware, and a couple of them were available for us to take home. It's got a little color to it, so now looking down on it, it looks like it's oxidized because it's just
'cause it's a
ever
little
so
yellow.
slightly yellow, and it gives like a brown tint to the wine, which psychologically makes me think it's going to be oxidized, so I taste more of those flavors, which is interesting.
That is interesting.
It is a psychological game, guys.
But
a little
you can actually do this even with water. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a phenomenal thing, and the Reidel company has sent incredible reps around. So we've actually gotten to do this with Reidel reps in a class, and I just love sharing this because it's such a unique opportunity to really have an aha moment.
This is a way that you can turn your $15 purchase into a $30 bottle of wine like that
That's a really good
for
point.
guests,
It-
or for yourself.
It ups the wine.
It'll make your wine better every time. You will enjoy wine way more if you have. You don't have to buy we're selling these ones for $10. You can probably find them in stores occasionally even cheaper than that, but rarely. 10's pretty good. Something like this will end up, sometimes they're $25 a stem or something like that is a pretty standard price. But just take care of them.
Just get two.
Just get two. You and your guy, you and your girl, get two. Get 3 because you can break one sometime. But
Get 6 because then you're gonna have a friend
they're also
over
more
and-
fragile, so you're gonna break them way faster than you break every other glass. I know it sucks, but you know, get a little family 4-pack and drink your wines out of that, and it's great. Or
Yeah.
if you're having a dinner party and you decide to splurge for everybody, it'll make your wine seem like it's better than the price you paid for it.
Yep, absolutely.
And daily,
So,
your wine will be better. Yeah.
which did you like better, the
Yeah,
standard glass or this one?
I kind of like our standard glass a little bit, but maybe I'm just a little more used to it. This one, it came across fruity enough that like it almost seemed sweet, which I liked at first, but then I don't know if I would get sick of it. I could be wrong. Michelle often plays with. We have these 2 sizes, many of them in our cupboard. So Michelle will play with it way more often than I will. I just go in my standard glass. I'm good. In Italy, almost everybody drinks out of like these. I mean, maybe it doesn't have the taper, but it's like a tall, thin juice glass. All the viejos or whatever will sit on the front stoop and drinking their wine in the afternoon, and it's always out of like a little 8-ounce juice glass, and they're just that's just what they're used to, and they're fine with it, and it's great. They're not trying to analyze. They're not trying to. They're just it's just sipping. They're and there's nothing wrong with drinking it out of absolutely the wrong glass.
If you need to,
It
drink
just-
it out of the bottle.
And oh,
Oh?
all right, I've got a story about that.
Whoa. This is unexpected.
I don't even know if I should say it, but we knew a guy who's now deceased, unfortunately, who he was a private chef for Tommy Lee Jones, and Tommy Lee Jones, and it was like,
Oh, wow. I don't know that we should share that story.
should we
I
not?
don't know.
You think we get in trouble for talking about Tommy Lee Jones this way?
I don't know that.
I think it's all right. I think it's all right.
Well, Tommy Lee, if you see this video, I'm so sorry.
Anyway.
I can't control him.
Supposedly, I mean, not supposedly, I take it actually as pretty confident facts maybe, but he's got plenty of money, loves wine, loves game meats, loves partying. He goes cold turkey when he gets a job part, and the rest of the time he's on vacation and he's doing okay, and he loves it. But Burgundy, wasn't it some of the Grand Cru Burgundies? I think that he had Domenicanti, or what's that? The story goes, $1,000 bottles. I won't say how many, but several, maybe 1 or 2 a day, out of the bottle, and that's how he liked to drink. You think you can't smell anything out of something like this? You can't smell anything coming straight out of the bottle, and so it's literally just in your mouth. It's a 1 sense situation at that point.
In high school, I used to drink my Boone's Farm that way.
I drank my Jose Cuervo and my MD 2020 that way.
All right, so before we let you go, we are running a little late, of course, because we can't seem to shut up. I don't know.
And especially when we have a guest, it just
Hey.
always goes long. I'm sorry, guys.
But one of the questions that we had that was written in during our show last week was an ask of what we are currently binge watching. And so I wanted to get back to that. And I can't remember because we've seen so many things.
You can't remember?
We've seen all of the
things.
internet.
All of the things.
All of the things. I'm like, what did we most recently binge watch though? Like the show? Right? Hollywood. We binged that.
Hollywood?
That was good.
Which one was Hollywood?
The one about Hollywood.
Oh, right. Hollywood.
But it's like a period piece, not period piece, but
Yeah.
like 1950s.
God, I feel like we've
set.
seen some good ones, though. Damn it.
That was a good one.
No, but how do we... Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
How do we not remembering?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is bad.
And
We
a
watched-
really ridiculous and awesome one was that Eurovision...
That's a movie.
That was a movie. It wasn't a binge watch, but the new Will Ferrell, where they're Icelander music competition people. It's really eclectic and wild. At least.
Yeah, and Well, we like stand-ups, so we've been watching
Yeah.
a lot of those.
Yeah. New Jim Jeffries.
Yeah, but binge watching, I feel like really a better question would be, have you seen such and such? And the answer is yes. And then we can try to remember it.
And then we'll be like, we kind of liked it, I think. Oh, that was really good. That one was good.
You know what I'm liking is Pose, and it has new episodes out.
Yeah.
I always go back to Big Little Lies. I feel like that's an epic show.
But nothing new.
But it's not new. But you could re-binge it?
Re-binge.
Yeah.
The re-binge is big.
Yeah. You
So,
re-binge
I was going to say...
Dexter and Breaking Bad.
We're going to have more chance to re-binge now that we got bad news. Today's been a weird day. We had...
Hasn't it?
Yeah. I'll talk about the governor first. So so patios are still open for restaurants and breweries and small brewers and restaurants like ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Our tap room and restaurant will continue to stay open on the patio.
Exactly, but so indoor dining is out for New Mexico for now, and then this real
amazingly, wineries are continually not an industry in New Mexico, even though it's the
we just have to
oldest
associate
industry.
ourselves with whatever industries are being talked about, and then extrapolate from there.
So thanks, Governor.
Right, but also, honestly, thank you for keeping us safe. But also, we do exist. Another piece of bad news: we had a high school buddy of ours die yesterday.
Well, that's a sad note to end on.
Cheers, Trakey.
All right, well, thanks for joining us. We're gonna just cry in our wine a little bit, and we'll see you next week. We're gonna do Cabernet around the world. We're gonna taste our cab and 2 cabs from a couple of other big places, California and Bordeaux, and taste them side to side. And
that's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be really fun. So. Thanks, Jess.
Sorry, guys. Sorry for the downer. Have a good one. Cheers.